today for part 1 of our 2-part Attract and Convert New Patients webinar series. My name is Sarah Passero, and I'm here with AIS Media founder and CEO Thomas Harpointner, who will be presenting this exciting webinar titled Mobile Search for Medical Marketers. We love receiving your feedback, so we'll ask you to complete a quick survey at the end of our presentation. If you're on Twitter, you can join the conversation using the hashtag AIS Media EDU. Anyone who tweets us will get a special mention. We're keeping the hashtag in the footer of the presentation. Finally, we'll be wrapping up with a special offer for our webinar attendees. For those of you just becoming familiar with AIS Media, we're headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia, and specialize in performance-driven digital marketing for high-growth companies. If you're in the Atlanta area, you're always welcome to visit our office. We focus on providing digital marketing performance, amplified all the while attracting, engaging, and ultimately converting. Our capabilities include digital marketing strategy, user experience design, lead generation, and online sales programs, digital marketing including SEO, PPC, email, and conversion rate optimization. Our work has been recognized and garnered dozens of awards, including the Best in Class Interactive Media Award for Responsive Web Design. Our insights and methodologies, such as what we're about to share with you today, has been featured on the press and news, including Fox Business, CNBC, Forbes, The Wall Street Journal, The Today Show, and many others. We've worked with hundreds of clients ranging from leading companies, top brands, to Fortune 500 corporations. We're also very grateful that many attend our webinars and refer us to new clients. With that, here's your presenter, Thomas Harpointner.
Thank you, Sarah. We're very excited to put this webinar together for a couple of reasons. One being that this is actually our first webinar out of our new office. So that's a big milestone event. We actually moved to the 25th floor from the 7th floor, so it wasn't that big of a move, but still something we're excited to get behind us. This webinar series we decided to put together because last summer we ran a similar series for medical practices and received fantastic feedback. So we thought we'd come back with a follow-up to that. You know, April was a big month for search marketers because Google updated its new search search algorithm, which focuses on mobile devices. So we've received a lot of questions about it. We've completed dozens of free site analysis for various medical practices, hospitals, and clients in various industries. And we're excited to share some of those results from those analyses that we've completed. And we hope that it'll help you recognize where you stand and some of the steps that you can take. One thing we're excited about when we do these webinars to a live audience is it gives us the ability to ask some poll questions. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. So, you know, please stay connected because we've got 4 poll questions we're going to ask you throughout the webinar. I'll turn it over to Sarah every time we enter a poll, and all you need to do is simply, you'll answer the poll questions. It's a multiple choice, which will appear on your screen, and then we'll share those results in real time so you can compare how your answers compare to other attendees today. When we're finished with this webinar, we'll publish it on our blog and also on SlideShare within about a business day. So don't worry so much about taking notes. You'll be able to get the entire presentation and in both SlideShare format and this video when about 1 to 2 business days. So that way you can just stay glued to your screen. So obviously there's been a big shift in digital marketing lately, but we put together this little infographic which we thought you might enjoy. We'll also share this on our social feeds. when we started in 1997, we were primarily a digital consultancy, and we became a service provider over the years. But just to kind of give you a quick snapshot on just how the marketing, how marketing has evolved over the years, and in terms of how digital came on the scene. Of course, this is I think of this as a 10,000-foot overview. It's not intended to go into every small aspect of the marketing evolution. However, where we are today, of course, in 2015, the big shift isn't just the type of devices that people use to connect with brands and hospitals and medical practices online, but also their behavior. Patients aren't just glued to the computer anymore. They're obviously using a lot of different devices, and they're using them at ease, and they're using them on the go. So I think the important takeaway from this isn't just the fact that we've got to adjust our message for different screens, but also different attention spans. Of course, when customers or patients are relaxed on a sofa, or they're on the go in a subway or a train, they have a very different attention span than they do when they're at the office or at home behind a big screen. So as marketing has evolved, messaging must evolve, and of course our websites need to be also adjustable to fit into those different screen sizes, the different resolutions. And we also have to recognize that what patients are looking for on small screens is very different than probably what they're looking for on large screens, for instance. So we'll touch on this more in a moment. Now, we do a great deal of research. From some we conduct ourselves. Some of it we use, obviously, different public sources. But we also always, of course, like Google, because Google is very forthcoming in terms of how users are using their search engine and how they're behaving. So what we found interesting from this particular research was how marketing budgets are being adjusted for healthcare companies. Now, this was in 2014. The 2015 numbers aren't out quite yet, but we expect there'll be slight increases, leaning towards mobile. But it seems that all healthcare organizations are increasing budgets in digital areas regardless of the size. Pharmas, device companies, biotechs, hospitals. It looks like there's a significant upswing in spending. So I'd suggest, considering how you compare, how your organization compares to others in various industries, and and how your budgets stack up to this chart. Also, what's interesting is the role that the various channels play in the patient journey. So at the very top, direct refers to traffic that comes to a website directly, say it could be from a billboard, it could be from a TV ad, it could be a visitor to the website that's already acquainted with the brand, so they know to type it in directly. But in essence, the traffic the channel that converts the highest is paid in organic search, second to direct traffic. So social media has its role, of course. Email marketing has its role. Display has its role. But our goal with this illustration was to demonstrate the best channels to use based on your goal. If your goal is to convert a visitor into a new patient, the direct traffic obviously dominates. But social media, for instance, is an excellent channel to create awareness for patients that may not be familiar with the organization, but it hasn't proven to be the most effective channel to drive say, an appointment or a direct website conversion. Now, the second part of our webinar series will focus on social media, and we'll share some case studies with you from how organizations are using social media to drive conversions. So, tune in, and we'll give you the date for that at the end of this presentation. But today we're focusing primarily on mobile, so we won't get much into the social channel. But still, we thought it would be useful to open with this. The channels that most effectively impact the patient journey, similar to the following, to the prior slide, but it's a different way to visualize this. To create awareness, social media is very effective in other paid channels. But to drive a decision, when a patient is ready to make a decision, when they're looking for a doctor, when they're making a decision in terms of who to go with, email, referral traffic, organic traffic, paid traffic, and direct traffic are the most effective channels. So, my advice is to consider the purpose of your marketing right now. If you're an organization that has a very well-established brand, reputation, very well known in your community, well, more of your marketing can then obviously be focused on getting that visitor to make that decision. If you're expanding your organization or practice into a relatively new market, we have clients, for instance, that are acquiring practices, that are opening in new areas, expanding into new regions where their name isn't well known. So more of their marketing budget needs to be allocated to awareness type campaigns. Other paid and social media tends to work very well for that. The integrated digital marketing model that we developed over the years, and this illustration has actually evolved in the last 12 months. Our purpose with this illustration is to provide a 10,000-foot view in terms of what all the channels, the major channels are that you can play in, and how they work with each other. At the very top, of course, everything must start with content, which includes videos, articles, webinars like the one you're enjoying today, case studies and so forth. All of that content then gets distributed to the left into your organic, your paid marketing, your email, your display ads, your social media, obviously. And we have many clients who ask us, are those channels a great way to drive conversions? Like, is social media a great way to drive conversions? Or should we really focus all of our messaging in those channels back to our web presence first? With that, I'll say that paid search provides an opportunity to enter your phone number directly. We've seen pay-per-click ads. You've seen those ads that have telephone numbers directly in the ads. And they are effective. Email campaigns with telephone numbers in the email with an offer attached to it is very effective at making the phone ring and getting appointments. It's not 100% necessary that all traffic must first go to the website before you can anticipate a conversion. Most marketing still does that. It does direct traffic to the website. But I will say, if you're going to convert visitors into action, from email or from pay-per-click or from social even, it's pivotal that you're using unique telephone numbers and unique links so that you can measure the success of those ads. Otherwise it's just guesswork. Once visitors hit your website, Google Analytics and other tools can then take over to show, of course, how effective your website is at retaining those visitors and converting them into action. Google Analytics and other tools are less effective, and obviously measuring the effectiveness of email campaigns. So that's why unique numbers and other tools will be necessary in those channels. Marketing automation is increasingly being used among medical practices, hospitals, nonprofits, just to help with drip campaigns. When a patient is really sick and they're looking for a doctor, they have a severe toothache, they're looking for a dentist, they're probably going to make that decision very quickly. But for other types of decisions, for instance, elective surgery, plastic surgery, centers whom we work with, those decisions are made a little slower, and that's where marketing automation systems that automatically keep in touch with those patients are very effective. And of course, CRM, which captures that information and the analytics that measure the success of it. So again, we'll make this presentation available later, and this is an illustration which you're welcome to use in your organization. It's a good brainstorming tool. It's one that we use very frequently to help determine where our clients need the most help with and where they can see the greatest benefit. So we're going to touch on the new patient journey in terms of how it has evolved over the years. And before we get into it, we're going to launch it with a quick poll. I'm going to turn it over to Sarah for now.
Okay. The first poll is going to be, has your search marketing plan been optimized for mobile users? So we'll give you just a moment to answer. Okay.
So results are coming in. Great. Still going. Give it another moment or two.
Okay. And here you can see the results. 60% said yes, 10% said no, and 30% said not sure.
Okay, so it's almost evenly split between no and not sure in terms of how's your marketing being optimized. The big question, of course, if you're not sure or it hasn't been, a lot of organizations are simply confused with what that actually means. How do you properly optimize for mobile? And as I mentioned before, Google rolled out its new mobile-friendly algorithm on April 21st, which was kind of under the radar for many organizations. They didn't know it was coming after it arrived. They still didn't really know how they were affected. The important thing to know is that the mobile-friendly algorithm affects websites on mobile devices. So if you're not optimized for mobile, it doesn't mean that your organic search rankings on PC are being hit, at least not yet. But on mobile devices, if you had a higher search ranking prior to April 21st, there's a good chance that ranking has dropped a couple positions. So one good takeaway is that 77% of patients now use search prior to booking an appointment. So if you think about that, Yellow Pages are obviously out, and if they're using search prior to booking that appointment, how important is it to be found in organic versus paid? We did some research on this, and we'll share a little more. We'll do a little bit of a deeper dive in a moment. But you may have noticed that Google, over the last couple of years, has slightly changed its layout. It hasn't been so obvious because it's almost like watching grass grow, but the slight incremental changes in how Google has laid out its search results have really began to blur the lines between what is paid and what is an organic search result. So what I would encourage you to do is to perform a search for a certain keyword, like if you're a dentist or a plastic surgery center, say in the Atlanta area, perform that search for that keyword on your phone, then perform the same search on your PC. Do the search on an iPad if you have one. Ideally, make sure you're logged out of your Google account, and then when you go home, perform that search again. Because Google tries to serve up the most relevant search results. It does attempt to geo-target to pull up results that are closest to you. You might be surprised at what you find. you may find that you're ranked, you have a certain position on one PC, a different position on a mobile device, and yet another position at a different location. So as these patients are searching prior to booking an appointment, they too often get different search results based on the devices that they're on. So you can be a patient, right, and do the test on yourself. 88% of those looking for health information start with search engines. That's, of course, not a surprise. What might be surprising is, how people are, patients are starting to self-diagnose. And when they do, Google attempts to serve up the type of results that that Google thinks patients are looking for. So you may have noticed that Google tries to guess the type of search term that you're looking for before you've even completed typing it. So it's not just serving up results, it's actually providing users suggestions. And what we did here is we simply did a screenshot for knee injury from running. And you'll notice Google's suggestions come up in the drop-down menu. And that's what those represent very popular search terms. So if you, say, have a practice that treats knee injuries, one piece of advice with your search engine optimization efforts is to look at the suggestions that Google offers and optimize your site around these suggestions, because these are very popular search terms. So if you can rank very high for knee injury from running on a treadmill, for instance, that would be a great blog article to create. It would be a good web page to work some treadmill injuries into, for instance, and this will help increase traffic to your website. A lot of us knew that 2013 was a pretty big year when more internet traffic was predicted to come from mobile devices than from desktop PCs, but actually it was 2015. It's 2015 when it has really taken off. And as we move forward, more and more users are going to be on mobile devices. When you go into Best Buy or any electronics store, finding desktop PCs is becoming more and more rare. What is interesting though is the definition of mobile, right? Desktops have always been desktops, they probably always will be, but laptops that are being sold today, and these convertible laptops that are hybrid models, are also now considered mobile devices. So in essence, any device that is Wi-Fi capable is mobile. The laptop is a mobile device. If it's something that you can take on a train, on a plane, in the backseat of a car, it's a mobile device. So what's changing even more rapidly than the technology itself is the definition of what is mobile. And with that, if you look at your personal habits, most people have at least 3, sometimes 4 screens that they're playing with, and they're bouncing between those screens. So key search behavior facts that we do know, obviously, is that almost 90% of people click on links on the first page of search results, right? I mean, how often do you go to page 3 or 4 in Google? Only if you're researching, only if you're not really finding what you're looking for. But if you look at the little screen capture to the right, that's we did a scrolling capture of a Google page, and you'll see how the lines between what's paid, what's not paid, has really been blurred. Of course, the results at the top are the paid ads. They have the little ad icon next to it. We all know that the results to the right are paid. But what about those in the middle? With the ratings and the reviews, with the 4 and 5 stars, and then the map at the top. Are those paid results, or are those organic results? The reality is, well, the answer is those are organic results, but the reality is most users don't really know anymore. It's becoming really confusing to them. They simply don't care. So yes, the paid is in red, all the organic results are in green. But according to a survey from WordStream, almost 50% of people couldn't distinguish the difference anymore. So that's both good news and bad news to search marketing pros, like us and perhaps you, that because users are confused between what's paid and what's free, it does offer an opportunity to get high rankings in the paid areas and use some of the latest Google organic updates to achieve high rankings in both the organic side. So the ultimate is, of course, to be positioned in both, right? To have your company name appear in the paid results and then also in the organic. The more positions you have on that first page of Google, the better off you are. Because again, 90% of people click on the first page. So if you can get listed once or twice, twice is better than once, that is the new goal, not just to get high search engine rankings, but to get listed multiple times. Also, Google Maps has been updated. Now, you may or may not use Google Maps that frequently, but here's what I'd encourage you to do. Open Google on your desktop PC, select Maps, and you may notice that the entire Maps interface is very different than it was about a year or two ago, where they not only list names of various medical practices, but some of them appear more dominant and more bold than others. And of course, the ads have started to appear, paid ads, and some of the organic listings. For instance, on the top left, you'll see an organic ad for Atlanta facial surgery. Beneath it, you see an organic listing for Atlanta plastic surgery specialists. Well, how did they get there? Google Plus, Google's attempted answer to Facebook in a sense, rewards websites that get positive reviews. So this organization, kudos to them, Atlanta Plastic Surgery Specialists, they have a high rating on Google Plus. A lot of happy patients, or at least a lot of patients that are happy to report their experience. And do you think this helps drive traffic to their website? Absolutely. Now you'll also notice on the map itself that some practices are listed in bold, others are not, and some of them don't even appear. So if you're in the Atlanta area and you're in the plastic surgery industry and you don't see your name listed, if you don't see your practice listed here, it's definitely hurting traffic to your website, and it's hurting the number of calls you're going to receive, simply because you don't appear on the map. So now that, of course, can be remedied with proper search engine optimization, but something that's very frequently overlooked by many organizations. They do all kinds of work, and then they realize their patients can't easily find them on the map. That's a disaster, right? So something that definitely needs to be optimized. With 43% of all visits to hospitals coming from search engines, what is surprising that most patients visit over more than one hospital during their research. They go to a few. Now hospitals tend to be pretty well known in an area, but it's not just the doctors that are being evaluated in small clinics. They're actually visiting multiple hospital websites during their research. So again, if you have a hospital or division of your hospital, it's not found on search engines or on the Google map. It's impeding their ability to find you. 50% of all patients who use the internet or use the internet to self-diagnose end up making an appointment. Now, their self-diagnosis may or may not be accurate. However, they're certainly trying to self-diagnose. So that's a great opportunity to create content for symptoms that are frequently self-diagnosed. So great idea for social media content. It's a great idea for blog articles. Knowing that patients are trying to self-diagnose, knowing that they are searching the internet to try to find remedies and to make that decision. But most of them do end up, going to a doctor if the diagnosis isn't cut and dry, which in most cases it isn't. So we'll launch into how to optimize for mobile search. And before we do, quick poll. Sarah?
Okay. Our next poll should be on your screen. How far along are you in terms of developing a mobile-first strategy for your digital marketing?
Great. Results are coming in real time. Still going. Waiting on a few more. Okay. Let's give it one more moment. And by the way, thank you. I want to thank everyone for participating in these live polls, because it helps not just us, yourself, but also other colleagues that are on today.
So the results are in. 23% are well along, 15% just started, and 62% haven't started.
Wow. So, so depending on how you answered this question, I guess you feel better or worse about yourself. But if you haven't started, it's never too late. Obviously, the Google's mobile algorithm rolled out in April. We're in July, and sometimes when clients say they haven't started, what they're considering is a complete overhaul of their website. Ultimately, that'll have to be done, absolutely. However, it's not necessary. Especially if you're, a hospital, a larger organization, it can sound like a real daunting task. And, and frankly, if you've been through the process, it may well take, 6 months, 8 months, sometimes even a year to get the entire job done. So, the 1,000-mile journey doesn't have to be as daunting as you might imagine. When we say mobile-first, strategy, mobile search optimization, one great way to start to cater to your mobile audience is not necessarily to bite off the entire website, but perhaps to look at small sections of the website that are frequently visited by your patients, the type of services that your marketing dollars are behind. If there's a particular service, if there's a particular procedure, a particular specialty that you'd like to highlight and drive more patient engagement for, create landing pages and microsites for those particular areas and put your marketing campaign behind it. Because it is true, if particular landing pages are not mobile optimized, they are going to be penalized. If you're spending marketing dollars to drive a mobile audience to a non-mobile optimized website, number one, Google is just going to first off just charge you a lot more money than you should be paying for those PPC ads, because Google's quality score is based on a number of factors, but one is how well the page is optimized, how well the content aligns with the ad. So start with create a microsite, create landing pages for particular campaigns. Also, although we're talking about search today, I do want to quickly touch on email. See how your email campaigns look on mobile devices. In a prior webinar, we focused on email marketing. We found that about 70%, and in some cases even more, 70% of all emails are opened on mobile devices first. It's not always the last stop, but for many people it's the first stop. They check their email on mobile devices, particularly consumers and patients that are using Yahoo Mail, Google Mail. They're not waiting to the evening anymore. They're checking their email throughout the day. However, if your email campaigns aren't optimized for those smaller screens, if the font's so too small, if the message is too hard to read, if there's too much stuff that's being cluttered into an email, that's a great place to start optimization. Often people will read an email and then conduct a search. They'll start researching, and an email is a great way to drive customers, patients to a website, for any type of company or organization. However, some patients actually go from an email to Google before they end up on a website. So, rather than taking on the entire project and redesigning the entire website, start incrementally. 3, 4 microsites, a dozen landing pages is a great place to start. It's a good place to figure out, how well your message is optimized and how well it's converting. The good news for mobile search is that 50% are local, right? So when patients do search on mobile devices, there's a very, very good chance that they're already in the neighborhood, and that 81% are driven simply by speed and convenience. And by speed, that means site speed. Now, how quickly the page loads, or the site loads, or the offer loads. Because consider, these mobile users don't have the patience and the bandwidth that, desktop PC users have, right? So they're on the go, sometimes in the car, and they shouldn't be, but, they're searching for directions or phone numbers. If it's difficult for them to find that information, or if the site loads very slowly, it's easier for them to back out and bail than it is to dig further. So, I mentioned a moment ago landing pages, but landing pages shouldn't just be, it's not just the offer landing pages, but the contact landing pages sometimes need to be redesigned before the entire site needs to be redesigned, because if the contact page with your phone number, your directions, your address is cryptic, or it's hard to find, hard to read, that causes major friction and causes patients to abandon, and that's exactly why sometimes they're searching for multiple, reviewing multiple hospitals and multiple doctors. It's simply because the one that they found isn't convenient, or it's not easy to read, or it's not easy to get directions to, or sometimes the phone number's hidden. So start with the real basics. Start with contact information. It sounds elementary, but I can't tell you how many times when we engage a new client, we do a complete site analysis, and we find that the contact information or the page that holds it is difficult and it's cryptic. So often we start at the finish line with the phone number, with the address, with map integration, and then work our way backwards. Cleveland Clinic, their CMO, for him it was very revealing. He said 63% of the traffic to our website comes from mobile devices. So they made it a huge priority to optimize, for mobile. If you haven't done a real deep dive into Google Analytics or any analytics platform you're using, I suggest you do that immediately and figure out how much of your traffic is actually coming from mobile devices today. Because these are users that are trying to engage with you on mobile, whether they're successful or not. We don't know, but it's at least the users who try to engage with you. Now, where these numbers might be a little bit deceptive, Google Analytics or any analytics platform will only report on history. It doesn't really predict accurately what might happen if you made changes. So what I mean by that is, say you look at your website traffic and you discover that, hey, 27%, let's say, of our traffic is coming from mobile devices. Well, it may seem like optimizing for mobile may not be as urgent as it should be. So, analytics reports the history of traffic to your website. It's impossible for Google to predict how many more patients might come to your website if your site were properly mobile optimized. Because for many users, if they have a bad experience, if you think about yourself as a patient or as a consumer, if you have a very poor experience with a website, how often do you return, right? And then once we're happy with a destination, a doctor or a retail store, if we have a great experience, a great user experience, often we'll just go back without having to go, search for new suppliers or, or vendors or, doctors, right? So even if your mobile traffic to your site is relatively low today, my suggestion is that you add at least 20% to that number, unless it's 90%, add about 15 to 20% to that number, because we have found that once a site is properly mobile optimized, that's about the amount of increase in traffic that many newly launched, properly redesigned websites experience. They see an immediate lift in traffic to their website from mobile devices that they didn't have before. So, so please take that into consideration. So, of course, the place to start is to analyze, what's working, what's not working, and there are dozens and dozens of factors that can be analyzed, from site traffic to bounce rate, and the list goes on. But what we decided to do earlier in the year, we developed an analysis, a site analysis. We call it the performance analysis, and we focused on just 3 primary factors. When we do a deeper dive with our clients, we look at dozens of factors. But at the very tip, at the 10,000-foot perspective, we focused on 3 factors, and we decided to offer the analysis at no charge. So no sales pitch, but you can certainly take advantage of it for free if you'd like to, and we'd be happy to do it for you. But before we go into what we actually analyze and what the outcome has been from our analysis, let's start with a quick poll. Sarah?
All right, the next poll. Have you verified that your site passes Google's mobile-friendly test? You should see that on your screen now.
And results are coming in very quick this time. Could suggest that a lot of users are on their second cup of coffee. Okay, almost there. A few more. There we go.
Okay, we'll close this out. And you should see the results on your screen. 73% said yes, 18% said no, and 9% aren't sure.
That's fantastic. Well, the Google mobile friendly test, it's available from Google. If you do a quick search for Google mobile friendly test, they do offer it. So Google's done a good job in getting the word out. As part of our analysis, of course, we do look at that, because as you can see, not everyone has gone through that analysis. And of course, we take it much further than Google does, but it's great to see that the word has been getting out. And we've been doing these webinars for, last summer, and we predicted it was coming, so very, very glad to see that. So the Google mobile friendly test launched April 21, and in essence, sites that don't provide users a mobile friendly version are penalized with lower organic search rankings. And TechCrunch and dozens and dozens of other publications have been touting this. And if the site isn't optimized, the big worry was that you can lose about 40% of your rankings. They could be reduced by 2 or 3 positions, and even Fortune 500 companies are affected. So if your site has gone through the mobile-friendly test, and whether you passed or failed, don't feel so bad. You're certainly not alone. Some of the biggest organizations on the planet struggle with this. But outside of the Google mobile-friendly test, site speed, turns out, is also a major factor still in getting high search engine rankings. And we use dozens and dozens of factors, and there are many other signals. But site speed is one of the things that you can test very easily. If you have a web dev team, you can have them run some speed tests and see how how your site stacks up. Because if you think about it, and when you do the speed test, by all means, do it on the mobile device, not on the desktop, devices. And preferably, you recruit your colleagues who use different types of mobile devices, test it across iPhone, Android, iPad, test it on LTE networks, test it on wireless networks. And what you're going to find is that the site speed comes up differently. If you're on a Wi-Fi network, it should come up really quick, right? Your site should load very quickly. But some users are on Comcast, others are on AT&T. So recruit some of your colleagues, ask them to do a site speed analysis on your website from home, from different devices, from different areas, and you'll find very different results. Ultimately, we want to optimize for the lowest common denominator, because we know on the internet, the entire armada, which is the website, travels at the speed of the slowest boat. So if there's, if your home page or particular pages on your website load very, very slowly, it can really drag the performance down of the entire website. So let's ask just a real quick poll about the site speed and see who's on top of it. See, so that way you can see how you compare to your peers today.
Okay, you guys should see this on your screen. Has your site been optimized for your mobile user?
Okay, just give it a few more seconds. Great, you guys are on it today. Actually, everyone is participating. That's fantastic. All right. Okay. Survey says?
You guys should see this on your screen. 42% said yes, 8% said no, and 50% are not sure.
Okay. So, the yes is absolutely fantastic. The not sure, we'll talk about it a little bit more today. And let me just say, at the end of this webinar, we tend to get really great feedback. So if you take a moment and complete that survey at the end, we would be really grateful to know, how much this has helped you. When we develop a webinar, of course, it's impossible to know and predict who's going to join us, right? We usually get 50 to 100 registrations, and we try to make it very helpful for everyone. So sometimes we go a little bit too deep in a topic, and sometimes we just scratch a particular topic at the surface. And if you'd like to discuss a particular question in more detail or as it relates to your organization, we invite you just to reach out to us. Email us, call us if you're in the Atlanta area. You're welcome to stop by. We'd love to offer you a free consult and discuss your particular question in more detail if it wasn't detailed enough for you today. Here's what you can expect if you increase your site speed by just 1 second. So we always challenge the IT teams with these numbers, because increasing site speed could be handled on the website itself. It could be improved through better site design. It could be improved through better coding. It could also be improved through better hosting, frankly. So if you're successful at increasing the site speed, page views go up, user satisfaction goes up, and conversion rates go up. 11%, 16%, 7%, these are really big numbers if you think about it. So, when we work with marketing teams, of course, a lot of our conversation focuses on marketing channels, marketing budget, creative, messaging, content, execution, right? And that's what most marketing conversations are about. Now, if you think about it, even the best message delivered to the best audience, the most highly targeted audience, and perfectly executed, can fall apart if the site just loads slowly, right? So, although increasing site speed is often not a topic that's discussed in the marketing meetings, it should be, right? Because think about it. Your marketing dollars can deliver a higher return on investment. A 7% increase in conversion rates, if you can reduce page load times by a second, page views go up 11%, customer satisfaction goes up 16%, simply by reducing the wait time. Our best experience at retail stores are the ones that we don't have to wait long, at cash registers, right? If we spend 30, 40 minutes shopping, the last thing we want is another 10-minute wait at the register. So, the retailers have discovered this, get people through the register quickly and they're happier with their purchase and they don't have time to second guess whether they should put something down or not. Same thing works on a website. If we're successful at increasing traffic to a website, the last thing we want is a potential patient getting frustrated by slow loading pages or difficulty in being able to find phone numbers, for instance. But these are big, big numbers in terms of ROI goes. So increasing the speed at which pages load really needs to be a goal driven by marketers. Because if it's left up only to IT, then it might be overlooked, right? So hopefully that's helpful. It's a small thing, but wow, it's very, very effective when done well. Now, as far as SEO goes, when we talk about SEO is often the performance of SEO is of course based on getting found on the first page of Google and how many keywords we can get on the first page of Google and how to increase traffic to a website. And a lot of SEO strategies focus on content. They focus on various methods of optimization. When we run a site performance analysis, one of the things we look for, and this is probably the most valuable aspect of the analysis when we deliver it, because the mobile-friendly test is something you can do yourself, and site speed you can figure out internally. But we use several platforms and tools. We use a couple of enterprise tools, very expensive platforms like BrightEdge, for instance, and some proprietary tools that we've developed internally just to do a double and triple check on websites, some websites that were launched years ago and some of them that are just being launched. And so our platforms look for all types of signals like broken links, 404 errors, and so forth, many other things. When we deliver this performance analysis back to our clients, sometimes they're pleasantly surprised, and sometimes it's a painstaking reality, particularly when a website was just launched and they spent 6 to 8 months and a good amount of money launching this website to figure out that, wow, there are broken signals and suddenly they've lost ranking. If you look at your Google Analytics and suddenly you're recognizing a decline in organic rankings or a decline in traffic, and you can't quite figure out why, this is the place to start. We don't name names here, but we work with a couple of large national nonprofits, and one a few years ago relaunched their website. Before they engaged us, they were frustrated with a lack of traffic. During the summer months, they saw about a 30–40% decline in traffic after redesigning their website, and they were just frustrated and quite frankly scared because they had to have this message to the board. We started with a technical SEO analysis and found 14,000 errors. So they were flabbergasted. They said, wow, how did this happen? We ran all kinds of tools. We thought we had a good web dev team. But the reality is some things just get overlooked. The good news is it was fixable in about 4 weeks. So just because, if you get one of these analyses and you find that there are hundreds, perhaps thousands of errors, many of these errors can be corrected, with the right tools in a relatively short period of time. So don't worry. Don't hide it from the boss, if you were charged with a web dev project. But to see how well your site is configured to attract and convert, you can go to our website. The analysis is free, and we're happy to do it. So, but the 70 sites over the last, about the past 60 days, we did analyze 70 sites, and we're going to share the results with you. And it's not all doom and gloom. From a speed perspective, I think a lot of companies, organizations are getting the message. Of the 70 sites that we tested, the average ranking was 81 out of 100. You're never going to get to 100, right? But ideally, you want to be in the high 90s, in a 95th percentile as far as page load times go. 81 was the average. I think some of the slowest were in the 20 and 30 range, meaning that the sites took 7, 10, sometimes 12 seconds to load. A 12-second wait time on a mobile device is a death sentence to your site. People, they have about a 3-second attention span. So again, test the speed. and we'll see how you stack up. As far as mobile friendly goes, 53% were mobile friendly, the rest were not. And as far as the technical SEO errors that I just mentioned, the average number of technical SEO errors, and I will say, again, we're not going to mention names, but of the 70 sites that we analyzed, some of them were very, very large hospitals. Some of them were, and when I say large, I mean by the size of their website, 18,000 pages on some of these sites. And some of them were small practices, sites that have, a couple of dozen pages. But the average number of errors, and we've normalized these results, just over 2,000. So you can have a 40-page website and have 500 errors. You could have a 1,000-page website with 500 errors. It really just depends on how well the site is checked and how frequently these are corrected. And just because the site is perfect today doesn't mean that errors don't appear down the road, because as you're adding new pages and people are working on the content, particularly blogs, it's very common that copywriters miss H1 tags, or images are loaded that don't have a title, or they don't have an alt tag associated with it. So website errors tend to grow as the website ages, and I hope that makes sense. So just because it was tested and everything checked out 6 months ago doesn't mean everything's hunky-dory today. You should do a technical SEO analysis every couple of months, kind of like monitoring your credit score, to make sure that there's nothing funky happening. So an example of performance results, I mean, this is what, just a screenshot of a performance report that you can expect to receive. And here's another, and along with that, of course, we give you a consult so you don't have to worry about figuring it all out yourself. We found that mobile configuration errors cause 68% of smartphone traffic loss. It's simply configuration errors. So again, with marketing, we're focused on marketing message, on marketing budget, we focus on creative. A lot of time gets spent creating campaigns, but if there are configuration errors, pages that don't load right or have missing content, the whole marketing campaign is in jeopardy. It simply falls apart if the pages don't load right. So if you're measuring response rates and ROI from your marketing campaign and you're disappointed, sometimes it's not the creative at all. It may not even be the messaging. I've always said, people can't buy what they can't read, right? Or if they don't see it. If your site and your offer may be a magic trick in the dark. Your numbers and your creative and your message and your offer may actually be much better than you think. It could be pulling a tremendous response rate if you get rid of these errors and omissions. So, with that, we're at the end of the poll results, but real quickly what I'll do is I'm going to share some of the results, the positive results that clients have experienced after some of these corrections were made. In one case, this was a medical practice, a regional medical practice within a 3-month period. They saw a 350% increase in ranked keywords on Google simply by making some of these very basic corrections. No increase in advertising budget, nothing crazy and designed. They didn't have to give away the house, free offers and so forth. Just in making corrections, it saw a 350% increase. An urgent care clinic, a 900% increase. Took a little longer to take 5 months to get to that point. They saw a big boost in the first 30 days, but 900% increase over a 5-month period. And by urgent care clinic, these were multiple locations. So big outcome. And another urgent care clinic in 5 months saw an 833% increase in page 1 rank on Google. The number of keywords on page 1, 140% in page 3, or page 3 rankings. On page 2, they saw a 700% lift. And from page 4 through 10, not that I don't like to count page 10. Who cares about page 10? But they still saw over 200% lift even in those deeper pages, simply by making the site mobile friendly, by making sure the speed is where it should be, the lag time was reduced, and technical errors were corrected. Really big lift. So as far as some of the takeaways today, and I hope you've got some good ones today, but the ones we like to point out, number one, let's remember the majority of internet traffic now originates on mobile devices, right? So providing a mobile optimized website improves the patient experience. They're just happier. They're more likely and more able to respond. Mobile-friendly design, the design itself increases search engine rankings on Google. So it's important that the designers, design with that in mind. And it's not just about making the site responsive. And by that I mean, don't just squeeze tons of content into a smaller screen. The pages need to be rethought. So consider what a mobile user wants to see on an iPhone and create pages specifically for that. And of course, make sure it's mobile friendly, but think content as well. Let's not squeeze 1,200 word articles into a tiny screen, but consider what those mobile users are actually looking for. And in most cases, they're not doing deep research on an iPhone. They're looking for a phone number, they're looking for directions, they're trying to find mapping, they're looking for hours of operation, they're looking for their doctor's name, maybe a quick peek on ratings and reviews. And it's those type of pages that really, really need to be optimized. And that's a great place to start if redesigning the whole website is not something you can do overnight. And number three, optimize your site for mobile to increase those rankings and also to attract and convert more patients. So everything can have a positive outcome if those three things are achieved. Now, outside of that, with digital marketing, SEO, many other things still come into play, but the reason we focused on these items today is because these are doable. This is the type of stuff you can do in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days at the most, and you're going to see an immediate measurable improvement in your ROI and your conversion rates. It's the stuff that you can tackle immediately to see big lift. It's summer, and this is a great time to tackle it. Now, the next webinar is scheduled for August 12th, and we're excited about that one because we'll focus on social media, but not necessarily what you might think, but we're focusing on the type of social media that can actually not just attract more visitors or create brand awareness, but the type of social media marketing that drives patient conversions. And we're going to have some case studies from some of our clients, and again, we'll keep the names confidential, but we'll show you real-life case studies of how clients have driven phone calls and driven conversions through the use of social media. It's not just pretty pictures, it's not just likes, but actual new patient growth. So we hope that you can make it, and we hope you got value from this today. And if you did, please take a moment, complete our quick survey, which is going to pop up. And again, I invite you to take advantage of the free site performance analysis. We'd be happy to do it. Give us about a day or two to turn it around. Once you submit your URL, you don't have to give us any confidential information. We'll just base it on your URL, and then we'll be happy to give you a consult and answer any questions that we didn't cover today. So with that, thank you again, and have an awesome and productive day.